So, hey guys, welcome to Appalachia's Homestead. Welcome back into the kitchen. We're back with a new whole round of videos coming your way. And today, I'm gonna show you how I make my homemade, delicious quail egg basket biscuits. You ready? Let's do it. So today, I'm gonna teach you how I make my very basic biscuit recipe. Not rocket science. There's a few minor changes because we're gonna make them into sweet little baskets for some yummy quail eggs and cheese. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through the ingredients and go through all the things that we're gonna do so you can get all that lined up and you can make your own. Now, I do want to say that you don't have to necessarily use quail eggs. You can adapt this, you can change this as you see fit. So somebody asked me before, I don't have quail, can I use chicken eggs? Well, of course you can. But you're gonna see what you'll have to do. You'll have to use probably just 1 or 2 chicken eggs. I would recommend that you scramble them up. You can add a little milk to them if you want to. And that's what you will pour in, okay? Because if you crack a whole egg, a whole chicken egg in there, even if it's a silky egg, probably gonna be a bit much for these biscuits. And these are gonna be good sized biscuits. So we're gonna work with our quail eggs because we've been raising quail for a long time. We love them, we sell our eggs, and we also like to eat them. I love them. I think they're the most delicious eggs out there. In addition to goose. My girls, they can lace out some beauties right there, but we're gonna work with the quail eggs. So I wanna let you know, adapt this. Don't feel like you're stuck in a box. You're not. Okay, this is gonna look like a lot. It's not. Trust me when I tell you, when I make biscuits for real and you're not here with me, it's not this organized. It's just fly by the seat of your pants because you know what? That's what Granny did. So let's start with the basics. Let's go through it. 2 cups basic flour. You're going to need that, okay? What I do is I come in and I add in about 3 teaspoons or a whole whopping tablespoon of your baking powder, okay? Then I'm going to come in with a little pinch of your baking soda, okay? What is this? I also add in now, do you know this, honey? I add in a pinch of cream of tartar into the mix. You mix all that in there. You can add a little bit of salt if you would like. You can mix it in there. I do. I like it. So what you're going to do is put all those dry ingredients together. You want your dry goods together and whip and nay them around and mix them in because you don't want salt stuck on one side or whatnot, okay? Now, once you do that, I'm going to come in with my fats. If you've watched my videos for a long time, I have a real preference for part Crisco, part butter. You flip and flop that how you want to. If you don't like this, you prefer that, or throw that away and do that, or do lard instead. Honey, it's your world. Do what you want. So what I'm going to do is mix all that together to make my crumbly mixture. It's going to look like cornmeal in a sense, because what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come in and I'm going to add in milk. Now, let me tell you something. This is what I call your clabbered, soured, buttermilk wannabe, okay? What I do is I take a cup of milk. You can see it right there. I have measured it out and put it in my little chicken cup. And I put in a cup of milk, plain milk, at 2%, 1%, 3%, whatever you got, okay? Don't matter, okay? And then I add in a big splash of white vinegar. And I let that set up for a while. Actually, I do that first before I start getting everything out, okay? So that's what we're gonna be doing here as far as the actual dough. Now you're seeing a couple of other things sitting here. This is my extra flour. This is what's going to be scooperama in making my baskets, okay? This is just a watermelon baller, guys. I think my mother got this like in 1983 at a Tupperware party that I used to run around with her with, you know, as a kid. We do, you know, she'd do color analysis in Tupperware, darling. And I was there right by her side as a little kid. And my mother was going to throw this away. I was like, Mom, that's sinful. Give me that. I love this. So I'm going to try to use this again, and you'll see how that's going to work out. Of course, I have my sweet little baby quail eggs ready. Now, I also have Some cheese, you can use shredded cheese if you want. You can use a different type of cheese, Colby Jack, Pepper Jack, Honey Jack, your Jack and Jill, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to throw that in there. You'll see. I do have an extra coffee cup. This is one of my favorite coffee cups. Because what I'm going to do, you'll see, is I'm going to crack the eggs individually into a little cup or a little saucer before I pour it on there, okay? Did I miss anything? You've got your rolling pin. I prefer a French rolling pin. You've got to have that biscuit cutter, honey. Oh, I do have a little bit of pepper for later. So I just want to give you an idea of what we have, what I work with, and then we're going to fly through it because that's what we do. Now, I want to tell you your oven should be preheating at about 450 to 475 and have that cast iron in there. Let's get rocking. Okay, I'm just going to fly through this. We're going to whip these biscuits up. Don't sweat the small stuff. If you add a little bit extra of this or a little bit less tiny of that, don't worry about those things, okay? And if your dog's barking in the yard, it's all that much more better because this is real deal. Let's do it. Chula. Okay, I put in my baking powder, baking soda, a little bit of salt, a little bit of cream of tartar. See it right there? And I'm just lightly blending it, mixing it up, not too much, not too heavy. The thing about biscuits with the flour and even with the dough, you don't want to overmix. So there's a fine balance there. Sometimes you get it a little bit better than the other times. So did Granny, don't sweat it. All right, so I've mixed that up. So the next thing that I'm gonna do is add my fats, which again, butter, Crisco, lard are your best bets. I like to mix mine up, so that's what we're gonna do. Okay, guys, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 tablespoons of Crisco. I just sort of plop it in there and do the other half of butter. I don't deep think that. Overall, you probably want somewhere in the ballpark of about 5 or 6 tablespoons of fat, give or take. That's up to you. Test it out. So I'm gonna just swoop in here. Actually, that's actually a teaspoon. Guys, just plop it in there, okay? I mean, it's biscuits. See what I'm doing here? Does that look measured? No, okay. So just put it in there, and I do 3 or 4 or 5 of them, just like so. I'll probably stop at 4, just depends on the size. You really can't mess it up. Once you get going with these, and once you finesse them once or twice, you're gonna be good. Let's add some butter. Butter, I didn't grate it. I know some of you all have told me before how you love to freeze your butter and grate it. Okay, well, I don't have that type of patience. So I'm just gonna plop them in here because your hands are gonna get into all of this anyway. Now, I did stick this in the freezer for a little while before, just to make sure it's really cold, got really hard, because that makes a better dough. So, time to mix it. Okay, so what I've done is I've mixed it, and it's made like, you can see, it's made almost like a cornmeal consistency, okay? So what I'm gonna do next is take that clabbered milk, and I'm gonna pour it in there. See all those clumps? That's what makes it good. That's what makes it good. Now, I know some of you are gonna ask me, you're going to say, why don't you use buttermilk from the store? I hate to tell you, I don't like buttermilk from the store. If it's not from something that I have milked, I just can't get past how good that is in comparison to what you taste at the store, so I don't buy it. But I do cheat with my biscuits just a little bit. Now, if your dough is a little bit dry, you can add a little bit of more, milk to it if you need to, or a splash of water. I watched my great-grandmother for years and years and years make biscuits, and they were conditioned to Depression-style living, and so they cheated on everything. They half milk, half water, half this, half water. Everything was half water. So, but you didn't know it, and that's how you have a good cook, because they learn to adapt and whatnot. Okay, now I'm gonna put a little bit of flour on the countertop here. I'm gonna put my dough, because if I sit here and talk to you too much, I'll think about things too much, and I'll work too much, and that's just too much. Now, you might have a little bit of flour here, flour there. I try not to mix too much. Stop it, Patara, stop it. I'm gonna do this. Now, I like a French rolling pin. Some people like the other style. I have it, but I'm so used to not. This is a little messy today and a little bit dry right there. That's okay. This is what I'm saying. You really need to see this because everybody sees Biscuit videos and Biscuit this, Biscuit that, and they think it's going to be like, it's going to look a certain way all the time. It's going to be a certain way all the time. It's not. It's inconsistent because we just throw it together. Don't sweat the small stuff. Now, I do use these biscuit cutters. You've seen me use this before. It's very sharp. It's actually almost like a nut chopper, but cuts the biscuits really, really good. Do not twist. Put a little flour on it. We're going to come straight down. Straight down. Straight up. It's like we're Paula Abdul suddenly. We're 1989. We are straight up. Now tell me. Now here's your biscuits. We're going to make at least, hopefully, about 5 of them. Now, if you don't double over the dough like I did, I folded over and folded over. I didn't even mention it. It's just habit. You will get more of a spread surface, which means you could possibly cut 7 or 8 biscuits. But you're going to want these thick. So if you're going to want to make more than, say, 5 of these, you're probably going to double up this recipe. Let's continue to cut. Okie dokie. So I've got 5 good biscuits out of this recipe, this amount, and then I have my dunny biscuit, my baby biscuit. We'll just put him to the side. So what I'm going to do is when the melon baller is coming on in here, baby, we're going to come down here, and what I'm going to do is come right in the middle. You may have to get a knife, and I'm just going to, I just do this for size, really. I'm going to cut out basically a middle portion of the biscuits. You could tear it out with your fingers. You can do whatever you want. You will be using those anyway. And what I've done is because you've made that a little bit more shallow, what I do is I cheat. I just sort of put that on the bottom so you're not, that's a bite of biscuit, darling. You cannot let that go to waste. So you're cutting out a hole, okay? So that's what you're going to do is you're just going to kind of portion out a hole right in the biscuits. Okay, so I've made my biscuits. I've made my holes just to kind of give me a perspective of size there. Oh, stick him under there. Put that one in there, and I'm just sort of making sure that I'm keeping the hole there. So we're going to go with 5 for today, just for the video. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put them in the oven for about 8 minutes. So you're pre-baking them, setting them almost like you do like a pie crust. You got to get that prepared because then the good part comes next. Okay, so while the biscuits are baking for that 8 minutes or so, I'm preparing everything else, throwing everything else in the sink, putting everything back up, you know the deal. And I'm going ahead and I'm individually cracking the little baby cutie tootie doopy quail eggs in each individual little container. I'm just doing that for the video so you can see the whole egg. The reason I'm doing that is because the shells can be a little bit soft depending on the situation. And I want you to see the inside of that. Can you see that blue? Oh, it's to die for. So anyway, I'm cracking them individually. I also have, what I chose to do, or what I do, is I take cheese slices and I just tear them into pieces. It works. It's good. You can do shredded cheese if you would prefer. And I've also gone ahead and I have my pepper ready to put on there. So the next phase is coming up. They're almost ready to go. Let's do it. Okay. Ooh, child, they're looking good. Okay, take a wooden spoon. Now what's happened is you've put these cute little sized out baskets in these biscuits and they're kind of trying to come back together. Let's stay together, okay? Now, so you're gonna come in with a wooden spoon and you're gonna kind of take back over. You're gonna make your claim here and you're gonna put the hole right back in place, okay? So they bake at about 8 minutes. So first we're doing this one for 8 minutes. When you bake this a second time, it's gonna be for about 10. It's gonna be a little bit of a give and take there, okay? Some biscuits are gonna need a little bit more heat and love than others. Okay, that's done. See what I'm talking about? You're just kind of making it happen there, people. Make it happen. There we go. Come on, Patara. Okay, what I'm going to do next, now you could put some bacon bits right now in that. Oh my gosh. I went there. But until we do, I'm going to take a piece of cheese, just sort of stuff it in there. That's right. Keep doing that. Okay, just taking your cheese bits, slices. They can be shredded cheese. And here we're going to cut to the chase for the sake of the video. You know what I'm going to do next, right? That's right. Take one of those sweet little quail eggs. See, I've already got it cracked and ready to rock and roll. No shell. That's how you know. I'm telling you, you're going to love these. Okay, so now we're going to put them back in the oven. I'm at about 450 to 475. You're going to put them back in for about 10 minutes. Keep an eye on them. You know what your oven does. Let's see how they turn out. All right, we've got our brunch ready. Are you ready? Let's see how this looks on the inside. These cooked a little bit less than 9 minutes. Cut it right in half so you can see. Look at that heat coming off of that. Is that not a beauty? Oh my goodness. Okay, we have perfection once again. You can adapt this, you can change it how you need to. You know what you like, you know what your kids like. You can add or take from, whatever. But this is a great way to use your quail eggs. They make a wonderful presentation. Kids love them, love them, love them. That's my biggest customers are people with children. The children love them. And like I said, you could add bacon in that. You could change your cheese. But for the holidays coming up, double or triple exactly what I did. And you could make a nice setup for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day brunch, any day of the week. Hope you enjoyed the video. Good to be back. Y'all be good. We'll see you on the next video. Let's eat.